and he did. He would deserve it. He would deserve an MVP. I think.
Mm, mm. Who do you think is the best African basketball player right now?
You asking me a trick question?
Yeah, I just
Because
thought about it. So
yeah, my answer is going to be Giannis.
because you just talked about Giannis, because
But to me, he's an
that is
African player. He's an African player.
he is an African player.
You know, so he's kind of one of those things. Yes, he has the Greek nationality and everything else, and that's where he lived and grew up. And
I mean, I know he grew up in Greece and all that, but he still take pride in being an African. So
right. So if you're asking who's the best African player,
yeah,
it's Giannis. Giannis is the best African player. If we're gonna go by just nationality and kind of those kind of things, Embiid,
I
right?
mean, Embiid is from
Embiid is the
Cameroon,
best
right?
African player right now. He's the one that can really go out there and dominate. But we have to say that there's been a resurgence of African talent. I think that
Siakam.
oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
Siakam. There's so many of them. But if you think about and you look at the program of NBA basketball without frontier and all the stuff that the NBA did in Africa, it's paying off. That generation of players are coming up and they're watching other African players being successful, and that's motivating them that, hey, I can come to the US and do all of that. And obviously started with Akeem Olajuwon and all of that. But I think that Africans are really starting to, how can I put it? Because for a long time, it was like African players were a certain physique. African players were, I think, they didn't understand the responsibility of being in the NBA. They didn't come in with the confidence of an Embiid. They didn't come in with the confidence of a Giannis. And I think a lot of time is just a culture thing. And that's why you see guys like, if you look at Serge Ibaka, Giannis, and those other players, right, they played somewhere else before. And then if you look at Dikembe Mutombo or Olajuwon, they played in the United States before going to the NBA. So I think there you get some confidence. But I do think, and this might be a little bit controversial, but that's been my experience. A player that comes straight from Africa with very little experience in the United States or overseas in Europe, it's almost like they have a sense of inferiority and they don't come out as aggressive and they don't come out with that kind of confidence. And you see them kind of fall by the wayside and not have the kind of careers that people expect them to have. But I think this new generation, they're not going for that. So I think that was the knock. If you look, there was a period about 10 years African players weren't really reaching that kind of level. But then now all of a sudden you see that younger group that kind of grew up with the internet, that kind of grew up with YouTube and all these kind of things, Instagram. They can see all these clips. They can see other Africans being successful.
They can emulate it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they come in with much more confidence, much more self-belief, and much more, let's say, just confidence that they could come in the league, step in the league, not only be a starter, but be an all-star, be an MVP. And so to me, that's kind of the big shift that African basketball is doing. My friend Angelo Sagarakis, he's done a lot of work in Africa. He said there's a lot of talent there. I mean, they're doing so much with so little infrastructure and so little help, and they still find ways to shine and get to where they need to go to. So I'm very optimistic about the future of African basketball. Very optimistic.